Guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with SCP Explained. Tonight, well, this might be a stab at Nintendo here, because we got SCP-5254, gotta catch 'em all. If you guys don't know that tagline, you might need a childhood. Sorry, I have to say it. You guys know it's Pokemon. Yeah, there's a Pokemon SCP. It's not as friendly as you think. I'm just gonna let this video explain itself, and, well, get ready. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go.
When you think of the biggest, most money-making, merchandised, and capitalized game series of all time, there's only one franchise that comes to mind: Pokémon.
Well, a lot, but...
For the entirety of its lifespan, Pokémon has been a financial powerhouse, and every year the series seems to grow in popularity and revenue. Whether it's games, cards, a show, toys, or even Pokémon-branded clothes that you need, you'll have no difficulty finding a product that appeals to you. Everyone knows Pikachu's face, and nearly every child born within the past 20 years has had a first-hand experience with Pokémon. It is, in some respects, inescapable. If you hate Pokémon, too bad, because this little electric mouse runs the world, and you'll just have to sit back and deal with it. One could even say that Pokémon is uncontainable, which poses quite the issue for the SCP Foundation, who work tirelessly to ensure that no facet of life is withheld from its reach. But the Foundation rarely deals with major franchises, beloved by millions upon millions of people across the world, and for good reason too. An anomaly tied in with a major franchise poses a lot of problems on the containment side, namely its ability to spread uncontrollably and without care, being witnessed by countless individuals before the Foundation comes up with a way to contain it. Global supply lines have to be interrupted to prevent anomalous products from hitting shelves, corporate espionage committed, and most of all, a massively expensive cover-up operation to remove said products from consumers' hands. If the Foundation had to deal with an anomaly affecting the Pokémon franchise, there's no telling how out of hand it would get before they'd be able to get a handle on the situation. But
yeah, no kidding. I mean, even with social media, if we got like a Pokemon-themed like anomaly happening, I don't know. I think someone would be like, Pokemon coming to real life," and the other half would be like, "Oh God, what's going on?" I mean, sheesh. There was like no way this would be like covered up, Jeez. I mean, you gotta admit that, right? Anyway, let's see what's going on here.
But in 2019, that's exactly what happened. Today we're going to be looking at SCP-5254, an anomaly dubbed "Gotta Catch 'Em All" in the Foundation's database. The year was 2019, the place Japan, the home country of the Pokemon franchise. Every year since 2014, the Pokemon Company has held a festival named Pikachu Outbreak in the city of Yokohama, in which hundreds of costumed actors dressed as Pikachu would crowd the city's Mirai district and perform, dance, and even participate in a parade. The event was intended to celebrate the Pokemon franchise and promote whatever the latest venture the series is pushing, whether it's a game, a movie, or something else. The festival proved to be successful and has been held every year since. After all, who wouldn't want to see a legion of Pikachu running amok through the streets? But the fun would be short-lived during the 2019 outbreak, where something incredibly unusual occurred. Picture this: a large crowd, hundreds of fans dressed in Pokemon-themed attire, standing on both sides of the streets. Men, women, children, anyone and everyone came to see the Pikachu outbreak, and they weren't disappointed. Parading down the street was a horde of Pikachu, just as advertised. They danced, bounced, and walked together in routine fashion, all while the crowd cheered and yelled. Even the spectators in the crowd showed their spirit with Pikachu-themed hats, yellow tails fastened to their backs, and yellow face masks with 2 electrified red circles on the cheeks. The parade proceeded as normal. That is, until one of the parading Pikachu started behaving oddly. It began as out-of-sync movements, strange wobbles, and deviations from the parade path. For the heavily coordinated Outbreak Festival, this was unusual. The rest of the Pikachu line danced to the beat of the music, sticking in formation as best as they could. Then, as if pushed by an invisible force, the strange Pikachu raced forward, diving headfirst into the crowd, barreling into the group of people and
Heads up.
eventually colliding. The crowd moved out of the way, slightly shocked, no pun intended, by what had occurred. But then it happened again. 2 more Pikachu ran into the crowd, and then again. Over 15 Pikachu rammed themselves into the crowd, resulting in a massive disruption of the parade and the shutdown of the event entirely. The Foundation quickly caught wind of this and sent their closest operatives to assess the situation in a controlled fashion. After blocking off the crowd and shutting down the event, another strange detail emerged. One that ensured the Foundation that there had been some sort of anomalous significance to what was occurring here. Some of the crowd members involved in the collisions were suffering very peculiar medical injuries, namely blunt force trauma way stronger than what a clash with a costumed actor would induce, and severe electrical burns. The Foundation was positive there was something occurring here, and with a franchise as vast and popular as Pokémon, they didn't want to take any chances. Immediately, Foundation agents began collecting information on the event, setting up probes in the offices of Game Freak and the Pokémon Company, and attempting to...
Yeah, that's usually a good point. I probably would also look into Nintendo and see, okay, where is their liaison to the Pokemon franchise? I mean, remember, they are still on Nintendo products, so they gotta know, right? I mean, that's my first process of, thought, Okay, let's see what Nintendo knows. See what's going on. Geez, something is off. And also, yeah, stronger tackles and electric burns? Okay, something's off. Anyway.
To get to the bottom of what exactly happened during the parade. When the Foundation interrogated the 15 mascots who collided with the crowd, they were shocked to learn that they weren't mascots at all, but instead fully separate entities that resembled the Pikachu costume. X-rays revealed that their once human skeletons were now fused to their costumes, and touching them produced a minor electric shock. The performers had become Pikachu, and now they were unable to be removed from their costumes. Every captured instance had expired before the Foundation was able to fully study and discern what was occurring to them, their bodies unable to support themselves after such a lethal, extreme transformation. Later observation found that the synthetic components of the costumes, such as the cotton and plastic composites, had fused into their flesh and muscle tissue. Bodily fluids were found to contain foreign DNA and numerous strange structures, to the point where an ordinary human's genetic makeup would be incomparable and unrecognizable with that affected by the anomaly. The Foundation tentatively opened a file on SCP-5254, the anomalous transformation of a human into the rough approximation of a Pokémon character, and began carrying out tests to determine what occurred during the festival. What caused SCP-5254 to manifest? It couldn't have been random, could it? The Foundation needed to know. One theory that...
Okay, well, considering it happened at a festival, it's definitely... Could it be the merchandise? Think about it. It's been a popular franchise, so there had to be a lot of people that just showed up in the regalia of Pokemon. So, but, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to, think through it all. try to make sure I can speak English today. But still, I think with everything going on, let's just keep going. There's got to be more to this.
That the researchers working on the SCP-5254 file had come up with was that it was the large gathering of Pokemon-related clothing worn by the crowd that prompted the transformation. But that begged the question, why hadn't this occurred at any previous festivals or large Pokemon-related gatherings? It was a huge franchise. There were absolutely more events that had masses of costume fans donning Pokemon-related gear. Did something happen in recent years to manifest this anomaly? The only way to find out was to conduct testing. In one of the easier experiments that a D-Class personnel was tasked with carrying out, the Foundation ordered a group of them to dress entirely in Pokemon-related clothing, which the Foundation provided themselves. Some items, such as a full-bodied Gardevoir onesie, were taken from Dr. Clef's personal collection itself. No, he is not taking further questions. Anyways, with the D-Class looking utterly ridiculous in full Pokemon getup, the observing researchers began their tests. First was a D-Class outfitted solely in a Pokemon Pikachu big face with ears hat, as the product's official title stated. After standing there for 15 minutes, the Foundation determined that there was no discernible effect. Next was a Pokemon Detective Pikachu cosplaying mask latex, which the Foundation placed on the same D-Class. After another 15 minutes with no changes observed, the D-Class closed the experiment, remarking that it was stupid. The research team told the D-Class to remain composed and to just continue along with the trials unless they wanted to be reprimanded. After that was a Daboon Adult Onesie Pikachu Animal Pajamas. A few researchers held back laughter as the hardened, muscular D-Class in front of them stood around in a Pikachu onesie that barely fit him. After asking him how he was feeling, the subject quickly turned aggressive. The results from this test were deemed inconclusive, due to researchers being unable to determine if the quick snap in anger was as a result of a potential anomaly, or whether the D-Class was just getting fed up with having to do this. In my opinion, this test was hilarious. For the next
yeah, honestly, I think I would have swapped out at that point. I mean, just saying, I would just stick with the two, because, I mean, you just do it with one guy. I'm not sure if it, like, built up, but still, I'd probably just start fresh, you know? Not sure if it, like, you know, has to be a fan. Could it be, like, I guess that's why they went with it. You know, the guy that was saying, like, this is stupid. Fair enough, but anyway, next.
Test. 2 D-Classes were brought in, clad in Pikachu onesies. The D-Class were placed 4 meters apart. After a period of time, a tingling sensation was reported in the arms and legs, akin to that pins and needles feeling you get when your arms fall asleep, or when you get shocked by static electricity. The next one had 4 D-Classes, all dressed similar to the previous group. Instead of being meters apart, they were asked to hold hands, which the D-Classes begrudgingly did. Severe migraines were reported, as well as throbbing pain in the cranium and lower jaws of the face. Near the tailbone, some D-Classes reported a dull aching. Most curiously, several areas on their body had begun to change in skin coloration, namely, a mustard yellow. Eventually, the Foundation began to test for an affiliation or emotional connection to the Pokémon franchise. Could that be the key to understanding SCP-5254? Another 4 D-Class, all noted Pokémon fans, were brought in. One had owned a copy of Pokémon Yellow for the Game Boy when he was a child, and another had a high-leveled account on the Pokémon Go app. The Foundation discovered that these D-Class reported muscle spasms along the extent of their spines, with one complaining of tightness in their chest before coughing up tufts of fur, and another physically recoiling upon an attempt at physical contact, in fear they would electrically shock the researcher. These experiments proved to be fruitful for the Foundation, as they learned that SCP-5254 was irreversible. Removing the clothing or items did not result in the transformative properties of SCP-5254 reversing. Furthermore, the testing went on beyond this point, just to cover all possible bases of what SCP-5254 was before the details were properly ironed out. A total of 56 D-Class personnel were lost during these experiments, and testing paused due to concern by Foundation higher-ups of a potential security breach and damage being done to the site's power grid. But most importantly, a connection to the Pokémon brand was what enabled SCP-5254 to truly take effect. That's what occurred at the Outbreak Festival, where the bodies of costume Pikachu fanatics fused into their costumes and barreled towards the crowd. Now that the Foundation understood the how of SCP-5254, they still had to get to the why. Even by Foundation standards, this is a pretty odd and random anomaly. Did the answers lie with Game Freak or the Pokémon Company itself? After the festival incident, the Foundation put web probes into the servers of the Pokémon Company's Japanese branch and had their web crawlers scan through millions of correspondence emails to find any hint of unusual behavior. A series of emails between major shareholders in the company were found. The first was from Kimishima Tatsumi, the CEO of Nintendo, the overseeing company above the Pokémon Company, and Tsunekazu Ishihara, the latter's CEO. Do not ask questions. If this Sir Viper wants manpower for his project, give it to him. Our society will not mess with these irrelevant individuals. He, whoever he claims to be, may be charging us a small fortune, but at least he seems genuinely interested in bringing our creations to life. Bringing their creations to life? How curious. The email was dated to 2017. 2 years
2 years
before
ago.
the outbreak incident, the Foundation decided to dig deeper. Another email from
Okay, so we got a
2017
name
exchanged
used.
between the two individuals months after the first.
Okay, let's
Tuesday
go.
will mark the 5th visit by the
Visit.
Fukushima orphanage to our headquarters.
Fukushima.
I told the press it's part of our global outreach program to spread the joy of Pokémon to the rest of the world. Early results have been positive. I should have a specimen to show you the next time we meet in Tokyo. Your daughter likes Eevee, yes? It seemed like these executives were talking about creating real Pokémon somehow. What did the orphanage have to do with this? Another email read, "Play anytime, anywhere, with anyone." Yes, the slogan for the Switch is very apt for what we're trying to accomplish. Your marketing team deserves a raise. I am pleased to report Pokémon Go has hit 750 million unique downloads in July, and 5 million daily average users this past week. The popularity of the franchise continues to grow. Think of the possibilities once we integrate augmented reality (AR) technology into the project. Altaria as a clean and efficient form of air transportation. Charizard serving in the self-defense forces. And yes, Pikachu making our reliance on nuclear energy a thing of the past. Soon Pokémon will come to life before our very eyes. The Foundation couldn't believe something as a...
Well, that pretty much confirms it. This Sir Viper, it's offering the, I'm guessing Game Freak or Pokemon, a chance to bring Pokemon to life. The actual ones. But something tells me this little specimen they didn't pan out to their expectations. My guess, it spread worldwide. But begs the question though, how is it spreading? Well, I mean, we know how, the merchandise. But how is it only now just coming out? Think about it. This stuff was starting around 2 years ago before we got a first report in 2019, right? So why only now would we be learning about this phenomenon? I'm guessing Sir Viper must have gotten, ripped off, or Pokemon must have backed out. And I'm guessing Sir Viper didn't like that. Ugh. Don't know if I'm dyslexic at this point. Moving along.
As absurd as creating real Pokémon was a genuine possibility for these companies. It was going on right beneath their noses. But the emails from 2018 began to show cracks in the Pokémon Company and Nintendo's plans. The accidents are growing in number. Are you sure Sir Viper has everything under control? We cannot hide these incidents from the public forever. We already have our hands full trying to catch the runaways. If we don't take action soon, more people will get hurt, or worse, the Pokémon brand will be tarnished forever. Whoever was responsible for creating Pokémon for the companies was going by the alias of Sir Viper, and it seemed like their experiments weren't working the way they planned. An email directly addressed to Sir Viper fully encapsulated the Pokémon company's disgust at the individual once they realized the experiments weren't succeeding in creating an immersive, fun Pokémon experience in the real world. You promised us Pokémon as pets and companions, not these mutations. I've had to recall thousands of faulty merchandise, with tens of thousands of defective products still circulating the market. Just what kind of sorcery have you forced upon our hands? The government is breathing down my neck. Tatsumi-san has had to resign, and I'm starting to hear about this Foundation poking around. Tell me the truth. Is there any way to reverse the effects, or have you doomed us all? Sir Viper 1995, as their screen name read, responded with this. I don't know what to tell you. I've given the people what they want. Only true fans will get a Pokémon of their own. Your company was the very best at building your brand. Congratulations. Today Pokémon has taken over our hearts and minds. Perhaps one day, we will see them take over the world. And with that, the company had cut off all communication with Sir Viper. But now the Foundation had to get to the bottom of what was happening in these boardrooms and offices. Making Pokémon in real life? It sounded crazy, and from the way the emails were worded, they had apparently succeeded in making something, even if they considered it a failure. 3 months later, after all of the research on SCP-5254 was conducted, the Overseer Council authorized a raid on the Pokémon Company offices in Minato City, Tokyo, on June 16, 2019. From the way the emails were written, They had reason to believe that civilians were potentially being held against their will and used in these experiments. Failure to deal with them now could potentially spell disaster if they got out, and the cause of SCP-5254 wasn't immediately neutralized. Following the
Yeah, it sounds like this Sir Viper, whoever it is, must have used some magic on the merchandise, which looks like Pokemon Company did get it, but there's still thousands out there in circulation. I guess they couldn't get them all. Ugly. So, looks like the catalyst is actually the merchandise. At least that's what I'm thinking. From the way they're describing it in the emails, yeah, it definitely sounds like he chanted the items to turn people into Pokemon. I'm not sure if that was the original intent or if this was made after, the communication broke down between Sir Viper and Pokemon Company, That begs the question, though. Anyway.
The Japanese government's authorization of the raid, a Foundation Mobile Task Force detachment from Epsilon 11 Nine-Tailed Fox was stationed outside the offices.
Right.
The task force broke into the building through the fire exit and promptly cleared out tourists and civilians from the area. During the raid, they encountered a large creature that resembled a Charizard, an orange fire-breathing dragon Pokemon, that stopped them in their tracks in the hallway. Wings and elongated snout, the perfect color. It looked exactly as if a Charizard had left from the screen and into real life. It spewed combustible orange liquid at the team, but they quickly dispatched it with ease, using their weapons to put some water on the Pokemon's fire. Well, the water was actually a salvo of bullets, but the metaphor still works.
Yeah,
most of the building was cleared, and those inside detained for further questioning. But then the team came to a set of steel doors. Inside was a room littered with toys, brightly colored walls, and large metal cages. Inside the cages were some of the most disgusting creations the team had ever witnessed. Sir Viper's failed experiments, clearly. Entities at various stages of SCP-5254 transformation. One resembled a Vulpix, a fox Pokemon. It had engorged eye sockets and blood flowing down their cheeks. Another cage had a boy with cheekbones protruding high and sideways, pulling thin skin over the rest of his face. Another had a large bear-like entity with serrated claws, with alternate fingers peeling and decomposing underneath. Most horrifying of all were a pair inside cages near the other side of the room. A girl with an extended, flattened, engorged tongue, which pulled drool onto the floor at her feet. She was made to resemble a lick tongue, a Pokemon with a similarly large tongue. Another was an elongated purple snake, like the Pokemon Arbok, except its head was that of a toddler. It writhed back and forth, bawling and screaming. The team requested immediate medical pickup to remove the specimens from the room. Wherever Sir Viper, the individual responsible for this, was, the Foundation could not locate them. The Foundation contained the experiments and detained Mr. Ishihara, the CEO of the company. He was brought back to the research site for an interview. Ishihara claimed not to know of the experiment's existence, but he quickly broke down. When asked about Sir Viper, Ishihara had this to say: "We didn't ask too many questions. When we found out what he had been doing to the children, we terminated his contract immediately, but the damage had been done. Later, we discovered he had already tampered with our production lines and distribution infrastructure. At this point, it's impossible to tell which products had been affected on the market." Following this, global coordination between Nintendo, the Foundation, and the Pokemon Company in an attempt to figure out a solution to products that were affected by SCP-5254 is presently ongoing. All attempts to contact Sir Viper 1995's email result in the same automated message: "Happy hunting, but even you can't catch them all." Now go watch SCP.
Oh boy. Yikes. Really goes to show you, really gotta be careful when you're making deals, because you might end up with that. Ugh. Man, those failed experiments. Yikes. Especially the Arbok one. Jesus. You gotta feel bad for these kids, or whatever happened to those, Pokemon. God. Well, like I said, this is definitely one of those times where Nintendo's good intentions were pretty much, manipulated. Since, remember, they didn't know about the kids. Or, actually, I think from the emails, probably were. Ugh. Yep. My guess, Sir Viper. Could be one of the Serpent Hand guys, but I don't know. But they're definitely messing with some dark arts here. No way that's technology-based. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this SCP. Honestly, this one gives me just the chills. So until next time, guys, see ya.